Alright, a surprise new form of Soel, which was not expected at all since they haven't done a evolution of a starter for a long time, along with some direct Drajeweled Magnus support. So let's begin. So we start off with Direful Doll Karina. Yes, it's another Direful Doll that cannot be used in Direful Doll due to its skill, which is a grade 1 with key power and the skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard during the main phase, if your Vanguard is Drajeweled Magnus, choose up to one card that is grade less than or equal to your Vanguard that is different from this card from your Soul and call it to rearguard, and at the end turn, put that card back to Soul. It's basically similar to Zagan, but Zagan works with Drajeweled Ignis, while also not needing Drajeweled Ignis as your Vanguard, and also without the on-play Soul charge, by the way. With the second skill, Auto Rearguard, when this card boosts, if your Vanguard is Drajeweled Magnus, choose a card from a drop zone that your Soul does not have the same grade as and put it to Soul. And also has a Falcate Performer ability. So this is just overall pretty good because you get free Soul even though you don't really need the Falcate abilities anymore when it comes to Drajeweled, considering all the choice Soul charging. But the nice part is the fact that you get a free superior call from Soul even though it's locked to Drajeweled Magnus. Now, it depends on personal preference if you still prefer playing Drajeweled Magnus as your main or Ignis as your main. Especially since we got a new demonic jewel dragon, Vanguard, which, spoiler alert, it's like Rockagore. But as a grade 3 with 13 key power and auto, when discard from hand during your turn, choose a card from your drop zone and put it to Soul, which could even include itself. This skill is actually pretty nice for a grade 3 because not only that it's discard fodder, but most of the time, you might run into that issue where you don't have the 4th grade into the Soul, aka your grade 3. So this is just another way to do it just for free. In which a second skill, just like the Rockagores, Auto Rearguard, once per turn when this card attacks at least a grade 3 unit, if your Soul has 4 cards with different grades, plus 10k until the end turn. And the other skill, just like the Gores, Auto Rearguard, when you Soul Blast 4 or more cards at the same time, through the cost ability of your at least Drajeweled Vanguard, while your opponent's Vanguard's at least grade 3, cost Counter Blast 1, and stand this unit. Just like Rockagore, your opponent's Vanguard has to be grade 3 in comparison to Linear Score, where they don't. But once again, Drajeweled gets another restander for a rearguard with some extra power buff with an additional skill, with the key fact being Demonic Jewel Dragon, which can actually work well with Magnus because Magnus always has the debate where do you prefer the extra drive check or the extra attack if you're not playing Ignis, because Ignis lets you play Barbara, which lets you restand another rearguard, and all your Demonic Jewel Dragons at the time were all grade 3s that have no restand ability, but thanks to Barbara and Ignis, it lets you restand another rearguard, giving you the 5 attacks. But if you're playing it as a pure Magnus, you're gonna lose out on 1 attack, and thanks to this, if you combine it with Magnus, you can still get 5 attacks with the extra rearguard drive check. And also, it can become a discard fodder just for more Soul, which is also very nice about this card. So it is personal preference if you actually want to run this or not. In Magnus is a definite must, but for the other Drajeweled decks, of course mainly Ignis, you might end up running this just for the first skill, combining for the fact that it can also be additional restand options. Just keep in mind with the counterblast though. And now to the Rezael stuff, starting with Knight of Invaluableness, Ilsig, which is a grade 2 attacking power and the skills. Auto Rearguard, at the end of the battle this card attacked, if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Vanguard Rezael, cost, Soul Blast 1, retire this unit, look at top 5 cards deck to choose up to 1 Rezael from among them, reveal it and put it in your hand, of course shuffle your deck. Besides for Fist Store, this is just another way to search for Rezael, but this time using Soul instead of Counterblast, but it is personal preference on what you prefer to use as your resource, and to see if you have room to run it. And then we go to Knight of Ascendancy, Sergeric, which is a grade 1 with AK power and the skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard by your at least grade 3 Vanguard Rezael, choose a card from your drop zone and put it to Soul. I don't see much point of using this at the moment other than through spoiler alert Soel or putting Rezael to Soul just for the extra power for Rezael Vita. And no, you cannot use Rezael Vita as your first grade 3 and then call this, so you could put the original Rezael to Soul and then hopefully call the next one, because that doesn't work that way. You have to finish Rezael Vita's skill first. And then to a card that I might actually decide to run, Drajeweled Dragon, which is grade 2 attacking power and the skills. Count, if you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Rezael, this card gets all the following ability. Count rearguard during turn, this card gets 5 key power, and it was placed from drop during the ability of your Vanguard, plus another 5k. So basically 15k attacker on its own, but called by ability, plus another 5k. But more so for the second skill where Auto Rearguard, at the end of battle this unit attack, costs Energy Blast 3, put this to Soul, choose a faded one of Miracles Rezael from your Soul or drop and put it to your hand, and if you put from Soul, you may Soul Charge 1. This could actually be pretty decent considering that you can recycle your original form Rezael and of course use it for the cost of Vita. Considering the amount of grade 3s that you are running, sometimes those extra Rezaels can clog up your hand, and having this and letting you recycle is actually pretty nice. Especially when it clears itself off the board, and of course going to Soel is a pretty nice way to basically save your resources so you could call on an open board. And of course if needed, you can always reuse those Rezaels from Soel as well. And no, you can't use Vita, as Vita is only treated as the original while it's on the Vanguard, not while in Soel. And finally, to the surprise new form of a starter, Wings of Lifebrook Soel. I was expecting a new form of Rifistor, but this is definitely a surprise to me since it's the evolved form of a starter, which they haven't done for a while. But anyway, it's a grade 1 with power and the skills. Count Rearguard, if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Rezael, plus 15k power, active on your opponent's turn as well, which could become a 13k attacker by itself or booster, depending on you, but this is actually pretty good already. In which the second skill is Auto Rearguard. When this unit boosts at least a grade 3 Vanguard Rezael, you may countercharge 1, and if you do, put this to Soel at the end of turn. This is very important for timing reasons, as putting it at the end of the turn might be for future reasons if Rezael ever has like a superior ride or restand, but being able to just countercharge for free is just very huge right there. And it's definitely better than the 15k booster that makes you need to discard for the countercharge. So already I already like Soel as a support for Rezael. In which we got a third and final skill, which actually is even better because it's Auto Rearguard Soel. If your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Rezael and it's being attacked, cost bind this card, choose a unit being attacked, and it gets plus 5k power at the end of the battle. And if your bind zone has at least 2 copies of this, it gets another 5k. So basically, once you have 2 solos in the bind zone, or anything that could copy it, any extra solos that you use at that point will become 10k shield, without being put in the Guardian, as that's actually very important because that means that your opponent cannot retire the Guardian if it depends on the deck, or even do guard restrict. This actually overrides guard restrict as well, which is also very huge. So if you decide to spam all of them in the same turn, that'll be a total of 30k shield, because the first 2 needs to be bound first, which are all 5k each, and then the third and fourth one will become 10k shield each. But overall, it's just a nice card, being a beater, a support extra for countercharge, and also a defensive unit that can also be guarding from Soel, by the way, so meaning that your opponent cannot just straight up retire this sometimes. And this is what I mean, that you can use that one grade 1 to put this from the drop zone to Soel just in case that you discard it or just heal it from damage. So overall, a good new addition. And finally, here's the secret rare for the Constrain along with the Gluin. Really wish that they showed these on the reveal stream, but okay. And so that's it for this new support for Rezael along with Drajeweled Magnus. What do you guys think of it? Drajeweled Magnus is just extra support that it needs, especially if you're playing Drajeweled Magnus as its own deck. I don't like that it's completely locked to Drajeweled Magnus, but that's no different from the stuff from Ignis, so I can actually say fair enough. But the support is definitely pretty good, especially since the new grade 3 that is basically like Rocket Gore, that one is not restricted to Drajeweled Magnus, but it's actually better off in Drajeweled Magnus as it's a demonic jewel dragon, which is what Drajeweled Magnus actually supports with. But for the new Rezael support, it's pretty nice support, especially with a new form of Soel, which was not expected. They haven't done an evolved form of a starter for a long time, ever since probably G, so it took me by surprise when they decided to actually make a new Soel. Although I am still a little disappointed that we still haven't got a new form of Rezael that is not the king, because I really think that Rezael should probably have its own self-evolved form rather than everyone's power combined as one. And I think this would have been a good timing. But on that, that's it for this, and I'm definitely very excited for this set, and see you all next time.